I saw one small boy, about 10-year-old boy, lying there. So that was something did not allow me to sleep for many weeks.
Whenever there was some riot, something, Kadalur, later Coimbatore, for someone to get a home cadre IPS, it is a dream.
Okay.
You got it, sir. After that, why you went to that United Nations mission in Kosovo? Welcome to Officers Podcast. Today we have with us one outstanding police officer from TamilNadu Cadre, an officer of 1995 batch. He is known for the mark he leaves, whichever post he has held. Any issues, say law and order issue, he is the one who sent to resolve that and restore to normalcy. Say it was Kadalur or Coimbatore. Again, when there was election, they wanted someone neutral. Again, the election commission had to choose, yes, the same one. So, today we are going to know who is this person, what is the other side of police service, is police service that easy, and how he is living his life as a police officer. So, we are today going to interact with the outstanding police officer of TamilNadu Cadre, Davidson Devasirvatham, sir. Sir, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
I know you're a very busy person despite your busy schedule.
Thank you,
Thanks for joining us, sir.
Pleasure, yeah.
So, when you thought of joining the civil service, sir?
I would say that 1985, I was in Sainik School, I was doing my plus 2. I was declared medically unfit to join the National Defense Academy. I had passed the examination, I qualified the Services Selection Board as well, but I was declared medically unfit. By the time almost the entire 12th standard syllabus had been completed, I was busy appealing for my medical issues and all that. I was not regular to class. So for a moment I was thinking whether to repeat my 12th standard again to try for some other course. And that's the time one of my uncle, he told me that, why not you try for the civil services? He said, you already qualified the National Defense Academy examination conducted by the UPSC. You qualified the Services Selection Board, which means you're fairly good enough to handle the civil services. So that was the time I thought, okay, let me just keep it as an option. So after school, I chose Loyola College for my history undergraduate program, and then I chose JNU for my master's program. So exactly, I would say around 17 years, that's the time when I was leaving school, I made up my mind that I should try for civil services. And when I came to college, during those 3 years, on a couple of occasions, Mr. Walter Devaram had come to the college as a chief guest. So seeing such a personality in that uniform, gives you a lot of admiration. You look at somebody, you feel inspired, you feel motivated. And he was one such person. And you were waiting for a bus in the bus stand, you see that man going in a jeep in his uniform, sitting there. That gives you that, positive energy. So since then I said, why not the IPS? Why not, we also, adorn this uniform and all that. So probably I think that's the time I would say that when I joined college in 1986, that's how it actually started.
So, your initial ambition was to join the defense force.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Why that love for uniforms, sir?
I think it's the credit should go to the school, because when you go to join in Sainik schools, the schools are established mainly to prepare young students to join the National Defense Academy, to prepare them to become officers for the country. So that entire environment in Sainik school was conducive enough to inculcate all kinds of leadership qualities, and also to prepare yourself for competitive exams like the UPSC, for the NDA examination especially. And I had a lot of seniors who had been serving the Army, Navy and the Air Force at that point of time. And we also have some demonstrations connected with the Sulur Air Base. They come and fly the aircraft in the school. Then in the World Boys Association meeting, we meet a lot of very smart young officers who come from the Army, Navy and the Air Force. So naturally, right from childhood, you see these officers and you're inspired to, I also want to be there. I also want to be part of the services. I also want to be, that inspiration was always there in me. But unfortunately, I was declared medically unfit when I qualified the exam and the Services Selection Board. So looked a little disturbed at that point of time. But I said, okay, fine, we can still try something else, some other avenues will certainly fall in place. So that's how, from there, I came to civil services and then to the police service.
So I think now you should be happy, because if you had joined defense, war once in 10 years, 15 years, or it never happens. Whereas as a police officer, every day will be a war for you.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, there's a difference because, we have not been there. I have a lot of friends in the services, a lot of friends in the defense services and all that. Their life is totally different from what we are living here because they work in very difficult environments, very difficult terrains, being away from the family. And it's a very tough life for them, physically and also mentally as well. But for us, we work in a civil society. We function in a civil society. It's a totally a different ball game here. It's actually sometimes very challenging. I would say that, you'll have to really be careful. You'll have to be very meticulous. You'll have to be very, very extremely careful to handle certain things in the civil society, not like in the defense services. Their entire, your metal is kind of open to some challenges only in case of a war or a security threat situation. But here, even a small issue can snowball into a very bigger issue. So you have to be really have to be very careful, very sincere and very meticulous in your work in the police service here.
Can you tell us about your UPSC journey, sir?
Okay, UPSC journey. I joined BA History in Loyola College and Sociology in JNU, clearly with the mission that I will take these two subjects as my optionals, History and Sociology. But when I went to college, I was more attracted towards volleyball and NCC. I was more in the sports ground and also or in the NCC parade ground than being in class. There were two ambitions which I had at that point of time. I wanted to get a university volleyball player, which I was very craving to become a university player. And other was to become the best cadet from the state in the Republic Day camp at Delhi, and also to aim to become the All India best cadet. So I was entirely focused on these two issues. But in volleyball, I found it was too competitive because there are a lot of better players, a lot of, so many people who have not got the university for a long time. So I knew that I certainly could not compete in that team that well. My height was also not that enough to take me to a university level. But in the NCC, I had a background in Sainik School for about 7 years. So I said, why not take up the NCC? So I worked in NCC. I was attending all the camps in the NCC. I became the state's best cadet here. Then I represented the state as the best cadet in the All India Republic Day camp in 1988. There I came All India second, but later the boy who came first was disqualified on certain grounds. So though I was officially not declared even till today as the best cadet of that period, but I know that I was the best cadet of that year. Then later I was sent for a youth exchange program to Canada. For about 3 months I was there in Canada, then also 3 months in India, along with another about 42 NCC cadets. We went from here. So that journey was kind of more into extracurricular activities, not greatly into academics. But that particular period really opened up my eyes and ears to a lot of other things. The exposure to an international exchange program was really helpful. So when I came back from the exchange program, I had to write about 10 papers in college at one go. I took permission from the college. They allowed me to take it. I took it and I cleared all the 10 papers really with very good grades. Then I was wanting to join JNU, but I did not know the procedure. One of my classmates had a couple of applications. I also took a couple of applications from him and applied for it. Because I had made up my mind sociology should be another optional, so I applied for sociology and international relations. I did not get admission in international relations, but whereas I got admission in sociology, I was very happy. Okay, I said, okay, destiny is taking you to the place where you actually wanted to be. So I went to JNU. So JNU had a very funny system of 3 days class and 3 days you have no class, which means at least in the sociology department. So they give you 3 days of time to sit and prepare in the library, do your research work, whatever you want to prepare, more like an international standards. But there again, the campus is so attractive, so beautiful, so nice. You get drifted, you drifted in the company of friends and all that. So there again, I started playing volleyball every day. I was more focused on playing volleyball, focused on playing cricket sometimes, but slowly drifting away from academics. But I had a lovely set of boys from Bihar, all my friends from Bihar who were living on the same floor in the hostel. I started observing them, how they prepare. Very hardworking, very sincere, very dedicated. So I said, this is going to be very competitive. I can't compete with these guys. These guys are very sharp and they know so much. They read so much. They write so well. In fact, for all my classroom notes and all that, I used to borrow some notes from those boys before the exams. I was not those typical academic types. My academic life ended almost after 10th standard. I was not a very brilliant in academics or any kind of a person. Then I realized what's my problem. I said, I'm not able to sit in one place and study. So before I started appearing for my first attempt in UPSC, I developed the habit of sitting in one place to read. Even if I go to the library, I'll sit there for half an hour, I'll disappear. I cannot sit in journal section, read newspapers for more than 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'll disappear. So my attention span, when it came to reading, was very low, very, very low. I said, this is not something which is not easy for UPSC candidates. So mentally, I started preparing myself to sit in the chair, not leave that place. For 1 hour, I started like that. Then I slowly stretched it to 2 hours. So at some point of time, I could do 4 hours continuously. So I started preparing on my own, just collected as many materials as possible, whatever guides are required. And by the time when I wrote my first attempt, I knew that I'd clear the prelims. I had prepared that well that, after when I came out of the examination hall, somebody asked how the paper was tough. I said, I think I'll qualify. I'm confident enough. That kind of confidence was there. So similarly, when I wrote the mains exam also, I came back to Chennai. I left JNU. I discontinued from JNU because I didn't want to be there in the campus because I found it very distractive at that point of time. So I came back to Chennai to prepare for my mains. And here, again, very focused, very sincere. I was doing so well. Unfortunately, the 92 civil service, the 91 mains examination happened only in the month of, I think, January, February, March, during that period. So first 2 days were supposed to be history and sociology. But I think second day sociology did not take place. They had postponed it by a month because of elections in Punjab, I think, that time. So I had about nearly 1 month's time after I finished my history and general studies papers to prepare for sociology.
You should have been happy then.
Exactly. I should have been happy. But I made the biggest blunder. I wasted that 1 month. I sat and watched the entire World Cup of 1992 cricket matches. It went to the extreme of watching that India-New Zealand match.
We lost.
I woke up at 3:30 in the morning to see the match. Examination is at 10 o'clock. I watched the match from 3:30 till 8:30 in the morning. I went to the class.
And I lost a match.
Yes. And I went to the class with so much of depressed mood and all that. I wrote sociology paper. And when the results came, the cutoff was 839. I had scored 836. And my marks in sociology was about 218.
So that pulled you down.
That really pulled me down, and I was so depressed thereafter. I said, I messed up. I had an opportunity to prepare for 1 month. I could have easily done it. Again, overconfidence. I thought, okay, I'm a UGC fellowship holder in sociology. It's something which I can handle. I can write. I've done MA in sociology from JNU, so it should not be a problem. This arrogance also got into my head, and that's how I probably lost it. And the second attempt when I wrote, I felt not very sure that I would qualify and all that. First attempt I was very confident. I thought I will qualify. But the marks in sociology was very disappointing when I saw the papers. I took a year off. In 93, I did not take the exam because I was very upset. I was not very confident. I thought of changing the optionals, whether to change over to anthropology from sociology or to Tamil literature or something like that. Finally, I said, okay. The 94, again, when it came, I decided to stick on to sociology, history and sociology. And I did a good score. I got an excellent score in the written. An interview also fairly recently a good score. That's how I landed in civil services finally.
So how was the feel, sir, when you wore the uniform first?
Okay. Unlike many people's case, I wore khaki when I was 11 years. I went to Sainik school.
Okay, sir.
So 7 years of khaki uniform, almost similar uniform. Only thing is we're wearing shorts and shirt, the same epaulets with ranks, and also with a beret and a belt and boots. This was there in Sainik school and also in the NCC. So 7 years in Sainik school and 3 years in NCC. I was used to the khaki for about 10 years before. After that, come to academy. When they stitch the uniform, then everybody wears, suddenly everybody is like looking at each other and then as if, you feel a sense of, pride. Okay, I've got a job and this is what my life is going to be. This is what I'm going to do. You feel really nice. And you have so many different types of uniform. Like when we started, it was the cotton uniforms. Then it switched over to terracottans. So many things were there. And then you had the ceremonial dresses and all that. So you really put on your uniform, take pictures, you see yourself looking good. Okay, I look really good on uniform, That passion slowly it sets in. So uniform, I would say, whatever said and done, you feel like you're a protector. You feel like, you're going to be, you stand out in a crowd. But only thing is with uniform is that as we age, as we grow old, when you start putting on this tummy and the uniform, that little looks very awkward. So every time I used to think I should not gain more weight than this. You can have a small tummy, but you cannot have a bigger tummy, My problem is I always used to think, okay, people don't really look nice with a big tummy and in a uniform. You have to really maintain some kind of fitness, at least to put your stomach inside, right? So that's the only thing about uniform. Otherwise, there's nothing like, it's a nice feeling. Yeah.
So how was your experience in National Police Academy, sir?
Okay, National Police Academy.
Because generally people say very tough and all. Because you are a Sainik school.
Right. So I've been, since I was after I passed out from JNU, I was not doing much of physical activities. So literally from 91 till about, I joined the academy in Mussoorie till 95, there was no physical activity. I had gained a lot of weight. Just sitting and studying, eating, sleeping, studying, that's all, nothing else. So I really struggled in the initial trekking days when we had to do all the treks in Mussoorie. And also the cross-country race and all that. But slowly I started losing weight because of the trek. Of course, the bad food that we got, all that we started losing weight. But when I came to the academy, in Police Academy in Hyderabad, I had started dreaming that I should try to become the best probationer of the batch. The dream started, somehow it developed in me. By the time I left Mussoorie, when I landed in Hyderabad, I have a background from the Sainik school background, NCC background. So I think I should aspire to become the best probationer of the batch. I worked really hard on that. I worked very systematically, trying to work very hard. In fact, after the games, I used to go to the gym, try to reduce my weight, improve on things that I was really bad at. For example, I was not very great in cross-country race. I was not very good in swimming. I was not very great in firing. So everywhere, wherever I was weak, I was trying to improve upon that consciously. Only with a single agenda, I should become the best probationer of the batch. But unfortunately, I messed up towards the end. I was doing so well. I was doing very well in outdoors especially. And in the indoors, the indoor marks carry a lot of weightage in the best probationers thing. I put a lot of efforts, because I was trying for it very seriously. I started trying to prepare for the law papers from original law books. Like, picked up Ratan Lal, Dheeraj Lal, go to the library, buy new books, trying to read from there. But actually in academy, they ask questions only from the class notes or class book, which I did not focus on. So when I gave my law paper, all the three papers, CRPC, Evidence Act and IPC, when I finished, I came back, I was down. I said, I've lost it. I was a little apprehensive whether will I pass or not. That was the situation. So by the time when the results were out, I think overall I was fourth during training. The other three officers who were ahead of me had scored about almost 60 marks above me in law papers alone. But overall, good camaraderie, good friends, good batch, spread all over the country. You meet people from various backgrounds, different educational backgrounds, different institutions in which they have studied, and a lot of competitive environment there. Because so many trophies, medals, and a lot of things are there. So there I got the Best in Drill award in the academy. And I was also given the award for character and exemplary conduct. So these are the two awards I finally got when I left the academy.
And your first posting was in Coimbatore, I think.
No, my training was in Dharmapuri. I did my district training in composite Dharmapuri, that is both Dharmapuri and Krishnagiri.
Any interesting incident happened during
that? Dharmapuri was initially a very vast district, supposed to report roughly about nearly 120 murder cases per year at that time.
Okay, sir.
And in terms of murders, that used to have the number of murders used to be very high in Dharmapuri in those days. Now after Dharmapuri and Krishnagiri separated, it's not much. And the first experience of seeing a murder case was very challenging to me. The inspector who trained me at the police station, he came home, woke me up middle of the night around 11:30, 12 in the night. He said, "Sir, get ready and come. I'm waiting for you in the vehicle. We have to go to the police station." I said, "What?" No, when murder case is reported, when accused has come, he has surrendered to the police station. since you're under training, you have to interrogate him, you'll have to go to the SOC and all that. I said, okay, very happy. You're going to see the first murder case accused, you're going to interrogate him, you're going to talk to him, you're going to see the SOC and all that. So I went in the night to the police station. This accused surrendered was there in the lockup. I spoke to him for some time. Then he told me very clearly he killed his cousin with whom he had a land dispute and all that. There was a verbal altercation between both of them that evening. So he killed him off with a sickle or whatever he had in hand. And he came and surrendered in the police station. So this was the story. So by the time it was around nearly 12:30, 1 o'clock in the night. And that region, that point of time, used to have known for some kind of Naxalite activities that time. So the inspector was a little worried. How do we go to the SOC now in that particular area?
SOC means?
A scene of crime.
Scene of crime.
Yeah, so you're a little worried. So we picked up some weapons, pistol for me and pistol for the inspector, and one 303 rifle with one head constable. So nearly just about 3-4 of us, we took a trax jeep and just traveled all the way to the village. So we parked the jeep exactly as what this accused had told us. He was in the station in the lockup with the sentry. So we went there searching for the body. Searching for some time, we could not trace the body. Then there were some groundnut fields, freshly cultivated groundnut fields were there. We were just walking around seeing for any dead bodies lying anywhere there. As I was walking towards that, on this, small channel, I saw one small boy, about 10-year-old boy, lying there. I mean, I was frozen for a moment. I was just, it shook me, It's about nearly 1:32 in the night. You're standing there, inspector is searching somewhere, other fellows are searching somewhere, and you're seeing a 10-year-old body there with cut injuries.
So this cousin was a 10-year-old
No, I'll tell you, this is a long story to this. It was so shocking. Then I called the inspector, he came running, he was like taken aback. Sir, he said about 30, he killed a 35-year-old man, now you're seeing a 10-year-old body. We searched further. Then in the same groundnut field, another 65-year-old man body lying there, 60 plus year old, again with cut injuries. I was like, what's happening? So we are searching the entire groundnut field, we are not coming across any 35-year-old body. So then we stretched over to the next coconut grove which was there. There we saw a body lying face down in the mud, a lot of broken bangles all around, a lot of foot marks in this place. And to us, that did not look like a 35-year-old body. So the mystery was, we were very curious to know what's happening. So we tried telling one of the head constables who came with us, you take the weapon, go to the village, just try and find some people from the village and ask them to come here. This head constable went there, there's nobody in the village. It's a very small hamlet. So he came back, yeah, there's nobody there. So inspector said, sir, what can we do? I said, you should be telling us what should we be doing. So I gave him an idea, let's go back to the police station, keep the police personnel here, who has come with arms, let them stand here. We'll go back to the police station, talk to that fellow. Because we have not got a clear details about the scene of crime. To find out where the body, whichever body he killed, was lying. So we went there, spoke to him. Then we asked him for details. He said, the body that was lying in the coconut grove is his cousin's dead body. He is my cousin. Then we asked him, who are these people? That father, that old man and the son. He broke down.
Oh, his one.
No. He said, my father and my brother's son used to come and sleep in the farm in the night. So we were trying to reconstruct. So we asked him what could have happened. So what time was the murder? The first murder committed by this fellow in the coconut grove was around 6:30 in the evening. So 6:30 in the evening, he commits the murder, doesn't go anywhere, doesn't tell anybody. He comes to the police station to surrender. So the family of the deceased, they're searching for the person. Where is he? So they're searching everywhere. He has not returned to the house. They go and search in the farm because he's supposed to have gone to the farm. So they see his dead body lying there in blood. So that's where the broken bangles, everything was there. The whole family has gone and seen everything. The grandfather and the grandson in the neighboring land. Okay. They had come to sleep there in the night.
The accused father and son.
accused father and the brother's son.
Brother's son.
So the cousin's family took revenge on them that same night after that, after seeing the dead body there. So that was something did not allow me to sleep for many weeks. The inspector did not understand the whole thing. So I had to draw a sketch, diagram, and put, diagram with this family, that family, and all that. That one particular case of triple murder, which I had an exposure right at the beginning of my career, I started taking a lot of interest in murder cases thereafter. Every murder case that is reported, even now, some murder cases reported, I'm very curious to know how did it happen, what happened, what is the motive, what is the background. No, this is, this insights is kind of a, interest in you. But that case literally kept me a little very worried for a very, very long time because I kept on writing about that case again and again when I was on the training. So I still remember that. I remember sending a detailed report to the DIG and the SP at that point. They really appreciated. So the sequence of even how it has happened, reconstructing the thing and all that. So later in 2013, I went back to Dharmaburi again. I was IG in West Zone. I was very curious to go and see the scene of crime. How that place looks like. I saw that in 1998, and how was it in 2013? So the people, I met some of them on the farm, and I asked them about the family, what happened. They said one fellow, he became a mentally retarded person. We don't know where he is. The other fellow, he died. So the whole family was at a loss and all that. They showed me the place where the murder happened and all that. So I think that was the most significant point of my training days, actually. Yeah.
Whenever there was some riot, something, Kadalur, later Coimbatore, you were the one who was sent as a doctor to take care so that it doesn't happen again. What methodologies you followed to restore peace?
Okay, what I would say is that I think, not exactly, but I think when I was in training, I was showing a lot of enthusiasm. So that everybody observed. Like in Dharmaburi, I was showing a lot of enthusiasm. I used to be part of the initiatives given by the SP for eradicating liquor and all that, be constantly on prohibition raid most of the time, take a small team, keep on raiding the places against Iraq and all that. Then I also expressed my interest to go to the south in Virudhunagar district when there was a major caste class going on in 1997. When Mr. Vijay Kumar was the IG South Zone there. So I called the IG Law and Order, Mr. Kalimuthu. I said, sir, I would like to go to the south and work there in the situation. He was like wondering, what? I said, no, sir, I would like to go, sir, because there's an opportunity for us to learn, to see how things happen. So I went and worked there along with Mr. Tripathi and Mr. Vijay Kumar for almost a month. I was camping there. That gave me an excellent opportunity to see how difficult situations are handled, how riots are being handled, how things like caste riots are being handled, how police teams are deployed, how planning is done. So that was really an excellent opportunity for me. Then subsequently, when I came back from my regular posting, was posted to Paramakudi. I had an excellent officer as my SP, Mr. Kannappan, a no-nonsense man. I'm an officer of highest integrity. And it was such a pleasure to work with him. He used to have an acid tongue, but a fantastic officer to learn the work. So I was very lucky that I worked with him for about nearly 5.5 months, 6 months. And then later, the Coimbatore blast happened in 1998. So that time, Mr. K. Radhakrishnan was posted as commissioner. So he asked for the willingness of both of us, both Mr. Kannappan and me, to come to Coimbatore to work. We agreed. Both of us volunteered to go there. So it was a great team to go to Coimbatore at that point of time. I mean, the government had changed the commissioner then, so he was posted as the commissioner, and he asked for willingness of us. So Mr. Kannappan was DCP Law and Order. I was ACP West Zone, the most sensitive zone at that point of time, where most of the blast had taken place was Coimbatore West, which included the Ukkadam, Kottaimedu, Araspuram, and all these areas, Selvapuram and all these places. And the 2 years under Mr. Radhakrishnan was a very hectic period in Coimbatore, trying to restore communal harmony and also trying to do away with the remnants of Alluma cadres. So that was a very big exercise. For the initial 6 months, we were just simply doing door-to-door searches of all the houses of different groups to see if there is any elements of any explosives or anything is left there. Then every day we used to conduct massive vehicle checks across the city because there's some kind of fear had started setting in the minds of the people. We had to bring back the confidence in the minds of the people. At the same time, we also have to ensure that the economic revival has to happen in the city. It's a very important city. We worked really hard. Probably our average hours of sleep would have been roughly around 4 hours per day. That's what probably all of us would have done. And every day you're on night rounds. You go home, freshen up, come back, start again. There'll be some activity. But we did a fantastic job of cleaning the city after the incident happened in terms of arresting all the accused concerned in the bomb blast. Though the investigation was being done with a special investigation team led by Mr. Paramir Singh then, he had an excellent team of officers who worked along with him. And they were doing the investigation. They were doing most of the arrests. And we were also supporting from the city. It was a beautiful time to work in that place. So there was also a time where we actually took up on all the old cases of murder committed by Alluma. So I took up a lot of these cases, arranged for witness protection programs like that, kept them under confidence, took up a lot of these cases and took them on trial and got conviction for quite a lot of people. Then we cleaned up the city from a lot of vices, sale of ganja, lottery, illegal bars, prostitution. We went hammer and tongue on that. So in about 2 years' time, you felt really satisfied, of having done a real professional policing work after a tough and difficult time. By the second year or third year, Coimbatore was back to its economic activity. People again became confident. And one interesting thing was that they introduced this area committees, where the police officers will go and meet the people in the committees, talk to them, find out the local problems, get intelligence and information from the people. So that was one of the fantastic period which I had. That's how I landed in Coimbatore. Then from Coimbatore, after Mr. Kannappan got transferred to Tirunelveli, I was promoted. I was retained there as DCP. So when I became DCP, most of my job was focused on conducting trial of this bomb blast case. So every time this 164 accused will be coming by buses every 15 days, produce them from the magistrate, and then send them back to different prisons across the state. That used to be a very big exercise. So some of the accused used to stare at me and give me those very tough looks and say that. One of them told me one day, I'll take your head off one day. I said, if it's possible, you can try. Just walked off just like that. I was a greenhorn in service, very new, just about 2 years in service, on the field. So you're prepared for any challenges, it's okay, right? So that was all, I would say that great days. After 2 years was completed, I was also looking forward an opportunity to go to a district. In 2000, in Cuddalore, there was a major problem after about 3 Dalits were murdered. The problems erupted for quite some time and it were not subsiding. And a lot of senior officers had to be moved, a lot of companies had to be moved. Many officers were camping there. So one of the demand was to post a local officer there who knows the language and who can post there. Then I think the choice fell on me. So somebody was telling me, don't go now, it's very bad. I said, don't stop my transfer, I will go. I'm tired of Coimbatore now, I've been here for 2 years. I can't be in a place more than this. I've seen enough of Alluma, now let me go to a different place to learn a different area of work. So that's how I landed in Cuddalore. Cuddalore was a different terrain. I did not know anybody there. At least Coimbatore, a lot of boys who had studied with me in school and college were there. But in Cuddalore, I did not know anybody. So it was all the more good that I had plenty of time in my hand to put the district in place. So I had an excellent team of sub-inspectors, inspectors, DYSPs and all that. We worked together and from day one, we started beating. Because
Beating
in the sense wherever people used to sit and, pelt stones on police, pelt stones on buses and all that. Very common thing. Chasing, literally chasing them.
Okay.
And went in for massive arrest. We did not, everywhere they indulged in violence, we registered an FIR. It's not that you just chase them and leave them. Register an FIR, do a combing operation, pick up the fellows who were involved, arrest and remand. So that's how finally we could kind of discipline that place. Because that's again was a very, very challenging district, but it gave me a lot of satisfaction because I would say that out of, I think, 40 plus police stations, I would have slept in almost all the 40 police stations at some point or the other because of some crisis there. Any issue can escalate into a very major issue in Cuddalore at that point of time because it was politically very sensitive and cost-wise also it was very sensitive because of the political equations there. So one had to be very, very sensible to rush immediately. Both Coimbatore and Cuddalore, my learning points was quick response. Anything to do with law and order, just don't wait that your sub-inspector will go, your inspector will go or your DSP will go. You go, that's all, simple. When you know what the issue is all about, how it will snowball into, what it can turn into, rush. Don't wait for any of your subordinates to go. That's what I would say that I learned in my beginning of my career in both these places. And maybe officers also chose me for this choice because of my, I would say that, enthusiasm. I would say that I was more enthusiastic to do a field work, both in Cuddalore and Coimbatore.
How you could bring the harmony part, sir? Because religious harmony in case of Coimbatore and caste harmony.
In Coimbatore, I would say that Mr. Radhakrishnan did a very phenomenal thing of introducing the area committees and also used the volunteers from the NSS and other organizations to involve in policing, community policing initiatives, along with the restoration of normalcy. So initially, we were meeting two different communities separately. After a point of time, we brought both of them together. Okay, what is the problem, issues in the area? How do you coexist and live together? Do you have any issues which the police can contribute? Do you have any issues the corporations can contribute? So we started working on so many different ideas, and I used to conduct it almost, it's every week. Every week in some ward or the other, I'll be sitting in a Kalyana Mandapam, meeting groups from different sides. How it helps, I'll tell you. 2016 in Coimbatore, there was a murder, communal murder. I was IG welfare. So immediately the then DG Mr. T.K. Rajendran, he said, Davidson, you please go along with ADG Law and Order to Coimbatore immediately. There's some problem going on there. After the burial is over, some law and order problem started. Looks like it could be a communal clash which can erupt. So I went along with the ADG Law and Order. We were there, and as we landed, there were some people who were trying to come on the streets and create lawlessness. So Commissioner was Amal Raj. He pushed towards one area. I went towards a different area. And about nearly 500 people were trying to gather and come to the road and create problems. I just reached that place, got on from my car. I stood there. Some people looked at me and they recognized me. They were all part of my jurisdiction when I was Assistant Commissioner. So one of them said in Tamil, Namma officer, Namma sir. So he's our sir. So I said, what is the problem? So I said, this issue, don't worry, I'm here, nothing will happen, please go back. Please go into your houses. Don't come to the road. We'll handle it. You're all safe. Nobody can do anything to you. We'll protect you. Go inside. So this is where community policing initiatives, the People's Connect really matters, really works. I was really moved that day. I had done this work in 1998, 2000. That was the time I worked in Coimbatore. After 16 years, people still recognize you and respect you, and they are willing not to create any law and order problem and just move away from you. That's what police service has to be. That's what one has to do. In Cuddalore, I tried a different experiment because Cuddalore was also known for a lot of other problems. Cuddalore was notoriously known for this illicit Iraq, distillation of illicit Iraq, then distribution of rectified spirit from Pondicherry, and so many liquor tragedies used to happen there. When in my time, there was a massive liquor tragedy with 51 people died and about 6 blinded, methanol tragedy. Because we had gone hammer and tongue against all these liquor distillation points and booking everybody. Literally almost made this district dry as far as this point of view is concerned. So for one particular funeral function or something, people had gone to Pondicherry and procured, thinking they brought rectified spirit, they brought methanol and they consumed, and it's a big tragedy. So I was like, very moved. So after that incident, I went in for a massive starting of youth clubs in villages. I was finding these boys are basically going into caste issues or political issues because of they have nothing else to do. So I said, let's start police youth clubs in villages. Distribute some sports kits to them, like a cricket bat, a cricket kit, or a volleyball, something like that, football. Play with them, talk to them, engage them. So that started showing results in some places, some very sensitive pocket. And that again depended on the sub-inspectors and inspectors who took initiative. If the local inspectors and these sub-inspectors take initiative, these models can be phenomenal. A lasting peace can be ensured in many places. So that really worked for quite some time. As long as I was there, we maintained the youth clubs and all that. Still, some of the officers who worked with me, they are deeply connected to the youth clubs of those villages, actually. So that's something which we worked in those two places. Yeah.
For someone to get a home cadre IPS, it is a dream.
Okay.
You got it, sir. After that, why you went to that United Nations mission in Kosovo? Now, Kosovo is something pretty dangerous.
Right.
Now, why you opted? Were you not satisfied with the home cadre IPS?
I think there are a couple of reasons why I wanted to go that particular year. This was in 2003. I went for the mission, UN peacekeeping mission in Kosovo. I went in 2003. It was a one-year mission, 2003 to 4. I had met one officer who had gone for a UN peacekeeping mission in one of the trainings in Delhi. I was listening to his story when I think he had gone to Bosnia Herzegovina. So I thought, okay. I said, at that day I felt in my mind, this was in my bucket list. I should also do a UN peacekeeping mission if an opportunity comes. So when this issue came, I was actually posted as SP Special Branch in the state intelligence. From Kadalur, I was posted as SP Intelligence. And I was not really liking the intelligence job. I'm not an intelligence man, actually. I really was not very, happy to be there. And I was waiting for an opportunity to get out, either go to a district or somewhere. Then this UN opportunity came. I said, this is the best time to get out of this job. That was one, that's the post. And the other was, it's a very lucrative mission. The government of India pays you a salary, and the UN gives you allowances. So it's a tax-free income. And above all, you get an opportunity to travel in Europe. So at that age, to go and travel on your own was something which is... And the biggest advantage is having 50 countries in the mission, policing countries. I think no other mission had such big number of police forces. About nearly 5,000 civilian police officers were there from all over the world. So the mission was done by about 50 countries. From 50 countries, I would say 50 countries were there. So you meet different uniforms, you see different people, you hear different languages. It was a fantastic experience. So when we actually joined in Kosovo, it was a peacetime in the sense that it was settling, the war was over, 99 after the NATO airstrikes and all that, things were really settling down and all that. We landed in May. August, for the first time in the UN peacekeeping mission in Kosovo, we lose an Indian officer. First international officer who lost his life in the mission was an Indian officer from the BSF, a deputy commandant by name, I think, Satish Menon. It was so tragic. We were shaken totally. The way he had been ambushed when he was traveling after his work, along with another British officer, they had fired from a higher range, shot on his. So since then we began little, because this is a peacekeeping mission where you're allowed only to have a pistol in your hand. That also you can't simply fire. You'll have to justify, you'll have to reason out and all that. So in that situation, when we went, after the death of our Indian officer, things were really getting boiling to some kind of lawlessness in Kosovo. To the extent that the Indian contingent commander, below her vehicle, they tied a grenade.
Oh.
So it was observed by an American officer who was traveling behind. Quickly asked her to get out of the vehicle and they diffused the whole thing. So after we joined the mission, things were really becoming very tense and very nervous to some extent. I had a couple of, personal, near close shave in the sense that I was returning from a police station. I was a patrol officer in the initial first 2 months. I enjoyed doing it. You take a Toyota 4x4 4runner and then go around the entire patrol area, see the countryside, take pictures. You don't understand the language, they don't speak English. You have one language assistant with you or a local police officer with you. Try to communicate with them, learn what it is, eat local food, talk to them and all that. So one particular night I was returning to drop an American officer who was finishing that shift. Normally when we finish the shift, the previous patrol officer, we drop him back in the house and then I start my patrolling. As I was nearing a traffic junction, just about 30 meters or 40 meters away from the side, few youngsters were standing on the side of the road, kept a rocket launcher, and they were firing at the district court. Thankfully, I just stopped the vehicle in the junction. So it struck, boom, it went, and this For a moment, my heart stopped beating for a moment. Besides me, the American officer, he was like literally jumped out. He just picked up the wireless and he started yelling and screaming to the control room, send some reinforcements, send this, that. But people were just standing there, just watching as if nothing happened. So this was an indication that things were not right in the mission. Then finally, they started writing on the walls, occupiers get out, occupiers get out. They called the UN officials as occupiers. So we were advised to be very safe, not to go into any pubs or bars or anywhere like that in the nights or, not to. So advisories were very good actually. Around March 2004, when we were about to finish the mission, there was a major riot. It involved both Albanians and Serbians. It became a very big issue across Kosovo. So that was the time I really put in my best efforts to do something in the mission. I was that time in the operations center as a control. I used to operate the communication center. I was one of the communication officer. The chief of the operations center was a Britisher. The communication center was a Britisher. He had gone on leave when the problem started. And the number two was, I think, an officer from Pakistan or Egypt, somewhere there. So the problem starts in Kosovo. The capital is Pristina. We are in the capital in Pristina. And the British officer is not there. He's a good communication officer, but nobody would understand the English that he speaks. So this Egyptian or the Pakistani guy, they were struggling on the communication. I was watching for some time. I said, give it to me. Let me handle it. I was a patrol officer for 2 months when I joined the mission. So I understood the entire terrain of Pristina. I understood the call signs, understood how things function on the field. But most of them, as officers, would not have done the patrolling duty. I did the patrolling duty and then I went to the operations center. I sat in that communication center continuously for about 72 hours, controlling the entire riots. I felt like so proud of myself. We'll call the commissioner, send some troops there. You call somebody to give some aerial support. You send some tanks from the Kosovo force. Like the entire mission had one voice, an Indian officer sitting there in the mission control and handling things. They came after this, about I think third day or fourth day after the European countries said that they will withdraw all the aid and all that, then the things began to subside. Otherwise, they were trying to destroy all the UN properties. A lot of international houses were burnt, attacked. It was like so brutal. Brutal to the core. And after second day, I was feeling very uncomfortable in that weather, with jacket and all that, it's really itching inside. I wanted to go have a quick shower. So when it was lull in the wireless communication, everything was settled down, I quietly ran to my house, had a quick shower at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, came back and sat in the chair. One interesting thing happened. There was an officer from the control room who was working with us I think he's from Cameroon. His name is some Nicodemus, yes. I told when the issue started, please don't go home. This is the safest place where you can stay. A couple of officers, they wanted to go home after they finished the shift, 8-hour shift. I said, don't go. Things are pretty bad outside. You stay here. It's good for you. No. I've not eaten. I have to go cook my food and I have to eat and all that. This fellow left. The flat or the apartment he was staying was mostly Serbians were staying there. So when the riot started on the second day, they went to attack this flat. Out of sympathy, this officer had taken a lot of Serbs into his flat for shelter. A big mob was about to set the whole flat on fire. He's calling me from his house and Davidson, please help me, send me some strength, send me some force. Such panic cries. I called the station commander of the country. He said, boss, I can't go anywhere near. This is like, the whole flat is on fire. I said, do something, because this officer is crying. There's an international officer who is stuck up inside with some Serbs inside. Then I called the Kosovo force. They gave some aerial support. They brought some tanks, chased away this crowd. Then they were saved. Then there was another interesting incident. They wanted to burn an important church which was very sentimentally connected to the Serbs. So the church father and his family had taken shelter under the basement. Now they have to be evacuated. Surrounding the church is all full Albanian crowd, mob, all with automatic weapons. Who will come and save them? I worked in that police station as a patrol officer earlier. I called the station commander, a Greek guy. I said, Georgios, can you please send some? He was like, are you joking? You were a patrol officer, who will go there? He said, you call some team 6, some experts to come, a SWAT type of fellows to come and handle all this. We can't go anywhere near. So finally, I again communicated with the commissioner. I told him, escalate the situation to him. These things are really bad. This is, I believe, there are about 6 or 7 of them who are likely to be burnt alive inside. Then thankfully, the Americans, they came with an excellent team. Nobody knew how they just asked for a map of the church. We managed to get the map of the church, gave it to them. They just went and rescued and saved all of them, and they brought them back. So that was an excellent exposure, because, this is something which not everybody will get. If it was a peaceful mission, we would not have this exposure. But we went at a time when things were really getting bad, and we got to see this violence for about 3 or 4 days. All the Indian officers were packed and sent on, very sensitive places to be deployed, because they trusted that we trust the Indian officers, they do so well. Then they asked me, how did you manage? I said, this is a common thing. We handle almost on a day-to-day basis there. Then he said, what is the reason? I said, if my British guy was sitting here, nobody would have understood. But Indian speaking English, everybody would have understood. That's why the communication became much easier. So it was pretty nice, actually. Very satisfying.
So in movies only we see the heroes having an exposure international, then comes to nowadays. So you have had that. After seeing that, don't you think, because Serbia, that area, won't it be like a child's play for you, everything here? Means after that exposure.
See, they are very, very brutal.
Yes.
Because the way the automatic weapons were found around, in 2 days, they killed roughly about nearly more than 50, 60 people. It was total bloodshed, merciless. And even in a couple of occasions, I think before this incident, in a vehicle checkpoint, some drug trafficking group, they just come and blindly fired at the police personnel who were checking the vehicles. So I was just, I used to reflect, as patrol officers for 2 months, I used to be doing the vehicle checkpoints in those same places in the first 2 months. We lost 3 international officers like that. Oh. So it was like pretty bad times when we actually were working in Kosovo. But coming back, see, every country has got its own culture, own, habits and all that. For them, this may be nothing. Mm-hmm. But for us, our issues are different things. We have our own challenges. They have their own challenges. Handling this requires, ours is also equally challenging, but not as difficult as what it is there in such places, actually. There it's totally violent. It's extreme violence.
So we have heard from Davidson Devasirvatham sir on so many issues, but still we have to talk more and learn from him more. So this is the first part, and the second part very shortly we'll release it. Please keep waiting.